Hi everyone and welcome to this episode of Women in Retail Talks. In today's episode, Women in Retail Leadership's co-founder Melissa Campanelli sits down with Traci Inglis, General Manager and Chief Marketing Officer of the Fast Fashion Division at TechStyle Fashion Group, an online global fashion membership company. Listen in as they discuss textile, top leadership tips, and Traci's thoughts on the future of retail. And now, on to the show.
Hi, everyone. It's Melissa Campanelli, co-founder of the Women in Retail Leadership Circle, and we are doing a wonderful podcast at shop.org for our channel, the Women in Retail Talks, and we are excited to have Traci Inglis here, who's the CMO of TechStyle. So thank you so much for being here with us today, and I hope you're having a good show so far.
Yeah, it's been great. Thanks for having me.
Great. So just before I'm going to ask you some questions about, your career and your work as a in the fashion and retail industry as a woman. But let's just start out a little bit about your role at TechStyle as CMO. Like, what does that entail? It's so different in so many different companies.
Yeah, so I'm Chief Marketing Officer, and actually in March was promoted to GM as well.
Oh,
so I'm the GM CMO, thank you,
Wow.
of the fashion division for TechStyle. So that's a Just Fab and Shoe Dazzle brands. We have over 3 million customers that
Wow.
we service and bring fashion to them. So it's exciting. It's fun. I love it. I'm very data oriented and analytical as a marketer, very performance oriented, but I actually really love fashion and I love that fun side of it as well. So
Great. Yeah, I mean, I was going to ask you that, if you can talk a little bit about how, like, the role of the CMO has maybe changed over the years. I'm sure it's very data-driven, but if you could just sort of elaborate on that a little bit.
Yeah. So when I started my career 20 years ago in retail, the CMOs were all these like heavy duty brand people who didn't like to measure anything. And, the CFO would look at them as though they just spent a lot of money and, how much money do you want to spend? That role has substantially changed as we've seen major changes in our industry, from the growth of social media to the growth of e-commerce and the adoption of smartphones. All of those things, like this little e-commerce division in a retailer gets tucked under the CMO, or as we start being able to use more and more social media for paid marketing, that gets tucked under the CMO. And so over the last 20 years, these little things that have been tucked under the CMO have become performance marketing, and the CMO has become a performance-oriented way of driving measurable revenue in a way that it never was before. I actually really think the CMO is now the path to CEO in a lot of organizations, which is completely different than it was 20 years ago.
I completely agree. I think I just saw a study about that recently too, about how a lot of CMOs, they're going in that direction. They're working to get to the CMO position so that they can get to the CEO position. When it used to be like merchandising, right? Buyers, finance, all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
So
COO,
cool.
CFO, right? Or
right.
the head merchant, but never the chief marketing officer, and that's completely changed.
That's so interesting. I love it. And what are your thoughts now that we're sort of talking about trends? Like, what are your thoughts about the retail industry today, since you've been in the business for 20 years? Like, how has it changed? Is it, I'm sure there's a lot of challenges, but there's probably a lot of great things about it too. Like, how has it changed?
Yeah, well, if you read a lot of the headlines in our industry right now, you would think that it's total and complete chaos, right? So we've had this year alone over 2,000 store closures across several brands, right? And it's really just a sorting out those who are thriving and those who are surviving. So if you can wind back time to 10, 15 years ago, when e-commerce and smartphones and social media really started to take a hold of our everyday lives, retailers had to make a decision back then. Am I going to really own this and leverage it in a major way, or am I going to stick my head in the sand and say, no, the mall will never die, and this is going to be traditional retail as we know it forever? And you're seeing the results of those decisions impacting our industry today. So there are a lot of retailers that are really thriving, and we're one of them. And it's been phenomenal for us over the last several years, whereas you see some of the more traditional retailers struggling.
Exactly. And we're here on the trade show floor at shop.org, and there's like so many. We're sitting sort of right in the middle of a ton of different kinds of technology vendors. Is there any technology here that has caught your attention, that you're like thinking about? Perhaps you're not necessarily implementing it, but you're watching it. What are some of the trends in tech that you find interesting?
Yeah, so we generally build versus buy for our technology at Textile Fashion Group. The company was founded by a couple of tech guys who worked together at MySpace back in the day. And so it makes it a really great platform for us to vertically integrate across our tech stack and really own that. That being said, there are pieces and parts where we're like, you know what, we don't have expertise on that. It makes more sense for us to go and work with a partner there. We have a great partner for our email service provider in SailThrough. We love them. They have been great for us and growing our personalization platform for emails. I was talking to a vendor earlier today who's doing some automated retouching on images, which is pretty cool. We do that all manually right now, so that could be interesting.
Wow, that is interesting.
Yeah, so I'm walking the floor, I'm looking around, I'm talking to people. There's I've always got both eyes open looking at what's going on. So.
Is there any like new technology? Like there's a whole innovation lab like AR and automated AR, VR, machine learning. There's all these terms that get thrown around. Does any of that strike your fancy, or do you think it's all like doesn't mean anything right now?
I mean, machine learning is really cool, right? So we're building out data scientists in our in-house platform to be able to start doing some of that machine learning, looking at customers as soon as they come to our brands and predicting what their LTV is going to be. And we can decide how much discount dollars they need. So we can give more discounts to people that are more discount oriented, right? We can provide different levels of information if someone needs a lot of data and information on a product versus a lot of pictures, right? So cool stuff that we're dreaming about what we're going to do next with that. And we're using a lot of machine learning to help us get there. Some of the other new technologies that you mentioned, AR, I think that's going to be really cool in the retail space, especially about trying on products virtually before you buy and seeing what it looks like on you. I think Warby Parker is doing some really cool stuff. Some of the makeup brands are doing some really cool AR as well. Yeah. So I think it's next wave.
I feel like last year, if I asked that question, most people would say, "Oh, it's nothing. It's not going anywhere." But I feel like specifically this year and at this show, it seems like there's real practical applications of it.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. And like next year, it'll probably become even more popular. So it's cool. So I'm going to jump ahead a little bit about a lot of our listeners are very interested in how women get to the positions that they're in, high-level positions. So can you talk, I'm going to just kind of switch gears. Can you talk a little bit about your leadership style? How would you describe it? And how has it helped you move ahead in your career?
Yeah, so I like to quote Steve Jobs that I hire smart people not to tell them what to do, but to have them tell me what we should be doing. So I like to set overall goals for my team and then really specific categories of things that we want to accomplish, and then let them tell me what's the best way to get there. And that way you get more out of your employees, right? More out of your team. They're more bought in, they're excited, they come to work every day. My personal mantra is to assume positive intent. So I think a lot of workplace conflicts actually happen because people read an email a certain way that it wasn't intended, right? And so what I tell everyone on my team is I expect them to come to work every day assuming positive intent, and it really just neutralizes everything.
That's great. That's a really great term just in general, Yeah. Just assume that everything's positive, but things aren't being done to, no one's ego is involved or whatever. It's just being done to be positive. I love that.
Yeah.
And you mentioned Steve Jobs. I mean, are there any other business leaders that you admire?
Yeah, so I really respected working under Les Wexner of Limited Brands. I learned a lot from him. He had a lot of teaching moments just in everyday meetings, and he's an incredible merchant.
Yeah, he comes up a lot whenever I ask this question in retail.
Yeah, it was great working underneath him. I actually really love my boss now, Adam Goldenberg. He's got a great leadership style, super smart, really leading the company to accomplish a lot in a short period of time. So definitely. And then people I haven't met but admire, I've got to say Diane von Furstenberg. I think, she's got an incredible story and love what she's done in her career. Would love to meet her.
Yeah, that would be great. Yeah. I saw her once speak, but I never got a chance to meet her. And she was so relaxed with herself. That's what I liked about her. Yeah. And so this is the last one. So what's a life lesson that you've learned that you wish that you could have told your younger self?
That's a tough one. I think don't look back, don't think twice, just keep moving forward and keep on the path that you've started on, right? Because it was meant to be that way. So
that's awesome. Thank you. This has been so great. So nice to chat with you, Traci. Thanks for listening to Women in Retail.
Thanks for listening. For more information on this episode, be sure to visit our podcast channel page at www.wirlc.com/podcasts for show notes. Women in Retail Talks is available on iTunes and Stitcher, but remember to subscribe to our podcast channel page as well. Lastly, don't forget to connect with us on social at WIRL Leadership on Twitter and Instagram. Until next time, this has been Women in Retail Talks.